Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here. Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how are you today?
Chad, I'm good. That room behind you is coming together, man. I can see all the fancy workout equipment. I see your, is that a tonal right up on the wall?
Tonal on the wall, Peloton over here. You can see the fan, the equipment for the tonal. We got some yoga mats in the corner. You got my shoes ready to go, some towels ready to grab. That part of this room is the gym.
Here's my only... does that room have carpet in it? And is that kind of gross? Like, do you sweat all over and it drops the sweat going on the carpet? Or is that hardwoods or hard floor?
It's tile floor
okay,
with a gym floor mat that's just big enough for the tonal workout. Now, where I'm standing, you can't see. I'm on a small, like 5x7 rug, which is this end of the gym, which is my office end.
It's like your tile is great. Your tile is the same color as my carpet in my living room. So I'm like, oh, he doesn't have carpet in there. I'm laughing because my wife and I were talking recently. She's like looking for her next kind of workout program. And I asked her, like, have you ever done yoga? And she's like, I've done hot yoga. She's like, but I did it one time. It was super gross because everybody's in there and sweating. It's gross. She's like, but the floor was carpet. She's like, I couldn't even barely make it through one. I was so grossed out. And
Bob, there are two places carpet does not belong. Now, Nita is a believer in hardwood and tile, and this house is completely tile with just area rugs where need be.
Yeah, that's pretty common in Florida. Arizona was like that. Like our house, we moved in there, I think had carpet in the bedroom, and that was it.
There's two places carpet should never go. One is a gym, right? You should never have carpet in a home gym or any gym. And number two is in the bathroom.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
Who is carpeting around their tub and toilet? That is just wrong.
That was a thing in the 70s, though. They did that. And it was like shag carpet.
Carpet everywhere.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and I don't want to know what we could find in the DNA.
I'm pretty sure I've seen some pictures. I don't think I ever saw this in real life, but I've seen some pictures of people like with their bathtub carpeted up the side,
yes,
like
I have seen that. Thankfully, never lived that.
The 70s was a crazy time, Chad. A crazy time.
All right, Bob. So, yes, I've got the gym back here, and our audience knows that you cringe when we talk health stuff.
Yeah.
Yet I challenged you to come up with today's, and you kind of threw it at me about 3 minutes ago since we're 2:30 into this recording. Why don't you tell everybody how we're going to tie my health focus, right, into your lack of health focus,
okay, right,
and where this information all came from that we're going to discuss today.
You got it. So, Chad, I don't know, man, like 3 months ago, maybe something like that, 4 months ago. I've mentioned it on some podcasts, I think once or twice, but who knows how these things get out of order and when they drop based on when we record them. But a bunch of months ago, I went in to do make some marketing videos for our team and some training videos and stuff. And the guy that kind of produces all this stuff for us, not our guy Dave, we got another person that's helping on the video side in the business, Corey, had written some scripts for me, Chad, to go and deliver around our product. And we got in there that day, and I'm reading these scripts and I'm doing them, and when there was one of them I got done, and I'm like, did you use AI to write this? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, he's like, on most of the other ones, I actually cleaned it up. He's like, I might not have got this one cleaned up. I was kind of rushing a little bit. I'm like, no big deal. Cool. But it made me think right on the spot there. I'm like, Corey, I have thousands of blog posts, tons of video with me. Like, do we have the capacity to feed my content, my writings and my video recordings where they can listen to my voice up to this AI that we're using? And he's like, yeah, we can do that. Well, our AI team around here, Chad, is getting pretty good. And so what we have recently is we've started creating these AI bots essentially out of...
Wait a minute. So they created an AI bot that's basically me. Bob AI.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you, talks like you, writes like you.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm going to have to challenge the team to take all of my content, including Win, Make, Give podcast, including my book, including all that stuff, create a Chad AI, and then let's get Chad and Bob AI to do an episode. And then we'll also just get Chad and Bob to do an episode, and we'll see how those episodes come out similar to each other, because it might be
seriously. I will ask Roberto to do. Roberto, like, I don't know, once a week he sends us something. He sent me this thing the other day that was like a podcast episode of two podcasters talking about place and the Livian acquisition, Chad. It was Like I knew when I got it, it was AI. About 3 minutes into listening to it, I actually forgot for a minute. And then I was like, about 7 minutes in, I'm at this place where my brain is like, is this real or is this fake? And it was like, my brain was literally going back and forth between, I think this is real. No, this is fake. I know this is fake from the beginning, but man, this sounds so real. So yeah,
what does this say about society? I mean, right? We got to be really careful.
You're already seeing this on Instagram Reels. And you know where people are doing it right now? You'll see this all the time around sporting events. When somebody like fails on a national scene right now, it's super common the next day when you're in Instagram, you'll see them up there on the podium talking. And you almost think and watch it and go, it's the Patrick Mahomes interview. No, it's like AI and he's saying crazy shit, right? Travis Kelce should have caught that pass, but he's a moron and he dropped it. And when you listen, you're like, oh, okay, he wouldn't be saying that. But yeah, for real, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. All right. So you had, you guys took a coach.
Yeah. So one of our top people, she's amazing. She's been, in the industry for a long time. She's got a lot of content. So we fed all of her like recorded coaching calls and her live webinars and all this stuff. We fed it up to a bot, and we're essentially on the hunt for a real estate coaching, AI, right? That we can give people and they can go ask it questions about anything they might be struggling with or challenged with in their real estate business. And this thing will give it the answers that they need. And obviously, look, everything in any business chat is about taking action on the coaching that I got, right? But so this bot, I was playing with it. So Roberto made it, right? We fed all the coaches' content up to it. And he sent it to me about a week ago and said, hey, take this thing through the paces, ask it a bunch of questions. And so, I don't know, Chad, maybe because I watched my 7-year-old becoming one of the most consistent people I know. Right? This kid is every day, every single night. Hey, Dad, it's time to go out and practice. It's time to go out and dribble. It's time to go out and jump rope. It's time to go out and shoot hoops. I'm constantly on the hunt for how I become more consistent as a human. As a dad, as a business person, as an investor, as a saver, like in all the ways, Chad. And so I'd asked the AI, the coach AI, hey, give me some specific examples, some specific things I can do to become a more consistent prospector in my business. And Chad, the reason for that question particularly was I watch, our organization, we're in real estate, and the common thread between the people that build really big businesses, really big lives, the almost overwhelming common thread is their high level of consistency and whatever it is they do.
That's not just in real estate, right? Look at Schwarzenegger and what he used to say about how he would work out and The Rock and guys like that. Look at Patrick Mahomes, who you mentioned earlier. If we went and sat down with him, he would tell you that every day he was throwing through that tire and he was running wind sprints or whatever. It's the consistent. Look at Michael Phelps, right? What made him better than everybody? He had 52 more practices than everybody because of his consistency that he did every day, didn't even take a rest day. Consistency is the key to everything.
Yeah.
If you want success.
100%. So I had the thing kick me out, and I told it not, I actually, Chad, you didn't see this, but I asked it to give me a list. It gave me 10. And then I told it, well, just give me your best 9. Cause I know Chad hates 10. Bob Stewart. So I got 9 things we can do to stay consistent. And then I thought we'd make it fun. We'd throw a little curveball in here. I'll mostly handle kind of the business side of this and kind of report back what the coaching bot told us. Okay. And then I wanted you to show up and apply this to your health. Do these same things that might allow me to be consistent in my approach to my business. Could I use those same tactics to go, get consistent in my approach to my health?
So here's what I want to know. If they created a bot using Chad and someone asked it to generate a list of steps to help you stay consistent like this, would it know to do 100%. Like 9 or 11 Absolutely. Instead of doing a 10?
If they went and fed it all of our Win May Give podcasts, we've said on here 1,000 times, Chad doesn't like 10-person lists. It would absolutely not spit out a 10-person list to you. Or if it would, look, we see AI, like some of these things have like a personality eventually. So it might spit it out and go, Chad can deal with it. Tell Chad to kiss my ass, right? I'm doing 10. Like, who knows?
All right, Bob. So we've got the 9 actionable steps, audience, you still need to take action, to help you stay consistent with your blank. You asked it for daily prospecting for growing your business. Folks, this is any business you're in. You're always prospecting, right? You're looking for business. We don't care what industry you're in. And I'm going to take out the daily prospecting and turn it into daily health. And you're going to throw this list at us, and I'm going to see how we can add the health twist to what the bot told you for business.
Cool. All right.
All right, drum roll. Here we go, Bob.
Let's go first. First thing, if I want to stay consistent, I've got to have kind of a reason. So I need to set goals. Like what am I being consistent in? Right.
Yeah.
So setting clear goals, number one thing that I got to get done, Chad. And I think about like on the business side, when I think specifically about our real estate businesses, we set goals on two sides. And I call them lead and lag measure goals. The lag measure goals are the results I want to get, the production that I'm looking for. So in real estate, that might look something, Chad, like this year, I want to sell 24 houses. I want to do, $10 million in volume, and I want my gross commission income to be $150,000.
Yeah, right? I got issues with everything Bob just said, but that's for another time. Keep going.
Okay. And then I might also, by the way, break those goals down, right? I might be having breaking down monthly. I might even have them broken down weekly. Now, yearly goals get hard to break down to weekly when the math doesn't make sense, right? But monthly, and I might even have it seasonally adjusted. I might say I'm going to do one transaction in January, Chad, and I'm going to do 3 in July. But I've got to have those kind of productivity. What am I trying to accomplish?
Yep.
Now, the flip side of it, and
that's your lag measure.
That's my lag measure, right? Yeah. I can't really impact that. That happens because of my lead measure goals.
Yes.
So my lead measure goals would be my activity goals. What am I going to do to get to these results? So in real estate, what do I need to do? I gotta call a bunch of people so I can get them on the phone and talk to them. We call that a contact, so that I can eventually get them to agree to meet with me. I'd call that an appointment. They've got to show up for that appointment. So I've got to track maybe my appointments held, or I've got to have a goal around how many appointments I'm going to need to set and hold and ultimately sign, right? And so I've got all these lead measure goals that lead me to my lag measure results. And we need to have kind of clear definition on those things. And look, it's my belief, the more precise, the better. Like literally today, Chad, what I need to show up and do to get to my, what activity do I need to do today to get to, today's goal? Maybe today's goal is setting one appointment, and I know it's going to take me 200 phone calls, and I'm going to probably need to talk to about 35 people to find that appointment. Awesome. Now I know today when I sit down what I'm doing on just one day. Same thing for tomorrow, same thing for the next day. Do you would goal setting and having a clear kind of agenda behind my health efforts would that
I'm going to use the exact same thing you just said, Bob. So let's set lag and lead measures for it, right? A lot of people, when it comes to health, we want to weigh X, right? That's a lag measure, right? It's after the fact. You're already on the scale, right? Or I want to fit into pant size or dress size blank. Right? That's after the fact. We have to go to those lead measures and set, okay, how many calories am I going to take in? What are my macros going to look like? Meaning carbs, fats, proteins, right? How many calories am I going to put out? As in, what's my goal for the workout? What's it going to look like? Absolutely. And you said something very interesting in the industry part of it. You said, I might even adjust seasonality. Right? Maybe I know people buy houses at certain times of the year, more or less. Maybe if I sell cars, I know people buy cars at certain times of year or refinance loans certain times. Same thing is true in the world of health, Bob, because we don't wear bathing suits in the winter, right? So we're going to have seasonality goals. We might be looking to cut and lose fat in the spring, so we're ready for that, putting on the bathing suit in the summer. But then we might be looking to bulk up come winter time when we're pumping more weight or doing other things because we have different goals, or our annual goal needs to go through some cycles along the way. So it's the exact same thing for health. If you don't have a clear goal, you're just working out to work out. Good for you. But basically, you're just burning calories to eat more calories.
All right. Number 2, create a schedule. Right? This is your favorite, right? Block out dedicated time on your calendar for prospecting. This is super common, Chad, that I will ask people who I know the primary thing they need to do to make the income goals they want is they need to prospect. And I'll just straight up say, pull your calendar up. I know you do this to people too. Like,
all the time.
Let me see it. pull your calendar up, show it to me right now on Zoom, and I'll just look for some block that says prospecting or that says whatever the heck they're choosing to call it. It's crazy how often that's not there, right?
Yeah.
It's like the thing that I know I need to do, and if I got time for it, I'll fit it in. But the reality is, the reason I'm inconsistent is likely because I find other things that are easier to do, or right, like is it
it's
on
not
your
even
calendar?
things that are easier to do. It's just things that take me away from having to do this one hard thing. Right?
Yeah.
It might even be a medium thing. It's like anything to take me away from this thing that in my head I've called hard. It's the same thing with the workout, right? If it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. I don't care. I'm a morning workout person. I'm falling out of bed and I'm working out. I'm out the door within 15, 20 minutes running, or I'm on the Peloton, or I'm on the tonal, depending what my workout for the day is going to be. I'm a morning workout person. That's how I get my day going. That's how I get my tank pumped up to full. Okay, there are some people who are end of day workout people. You are more challenged. I guarantee you are more challenged to get your workout than I am, because the day shows up and takes your energy, screws up your evening, whatever it is. Yet it doesn't matter. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't happen. It's I'll get to the workout when I have the time. And before you know it, it's time to get ready to relax for bed. So you're like, well, it's too late to do it. Bob, if you want business or health, both of us can agree on this one. It's got to be on the calendar.
Chad, I've looked at a lot of calendars, like I've, and you have too. And you tell me if you see something different, but most of the time what I see on people's calendars are appointments they have with other people. It's actually pretty rare that people put their appointments with themselves on their calendar. And so what happens is, if you got that space in there, somebody else who wants to have an appointment with you will fill it up, and you will let them, because you have not blocked that time out for yourself. You've actually made me better at that. I used to have a lot of white space on my calendar. I've got much less today because I have these hour blocks planted throughout for things that I want to get done.
Right. And you need that, right? You need your writing time, or your content creation time, or just your breathe and relaxation time. I don't care what it is. I talk about it all the time. We won't get on the sidetrack to it, but the second thing that goes on a calendar when you build it are your promises you made to other people, right? Because you're going to hold those up. Because Bob, I told you we'd be here at this time to record. No one's stealing this time from me without a really good reason. Yet the third thing that goes on our calendar are basically promises with ourselves. Right. And we've got to put those on there. We're going to say, okay, I know when I'm meeting Bob. I know when I was meeting Adam earlier. I know when I had my call with this person. I know when I'm doing that with Nita. Where's the Chad stuff? And my appointment with myself is my workout in the morning. My appointment with myself is content creation time. You'd be proud to know I posted my first thing ever on TikTok today. Right. No dancing, just content. Right? But it's that thing, Bob. It's got to be on the calendar or it never happens.
Okay. All right. Number 3.
Yeah.
Use technology as leverage.
Okay.
Use technology as leverage. And look, I'm just going to be very particular here. I'm going to drill this into our industry. And, we own a software company. We've got thousands of teams and real estate agents that use this software to manage their business. Here's what we've found about consistency. It's not just that you have technology, but it's that the technology actually sets you up to easily go do the thing that you need to go do. So even like this, so we had this technology for a long time, right? And there's people can go in there and they can use this thing. And what we found is, when we then, Chad, said, okay, there's all these things you could do in any given day as a real estate agent. There's a million things. And then we studied the data for a bunch of years, and we figured out there's 10 things. And if we really, really wanted to get down, there's 4 things you should do each day to find the most amount of business that lives in your database. The craziest part about those, it was always there. They could always go find those things. But when we made it really easy and we put it right front and center, and we just said, hey, click here, then click here, then click here, then click here. And when you click there, if you see somebody show up, just call that person. Like, making it a paint by numbers dramatically increased the amount of activity that people came in and did, which is insane to me, because they still had the same goals before we made it a paint by number, right? But they did way more activity when our technology served it up for us in a way that was easy for us to go execute on. So I would
Yeah.
say, like, what technology you're using and how is it helping you to perform that thing that you want to be consistent at? Because if you got good technology, it makes it a little bit easier. Not a lot easier, by the way. You still had to get out of bed. You still had to come into the office. You still had to sit down and show up and have it blocked on your calendar, right? But when you sit down, if it's easier, you're more likely to do it again tomorrow.
Okay. Technology, use technology. Let me see. In health, Bob, I think that's going to be like wearables that we're doing,
Okay.
right? It's that Apple Watch. Think how I'm personally not a fan of it. It's not yet. Think about, you got to close those loops, right? You got to stand up every hour and move for a minute. And you can cheat. You can just raise your hand up and like pump it up and down a bunch of times, and it'll think you got up. But you got to close that loop. You got to get in a certain number of steps. 10,000 steps is a joke. That's not really the number. Yet that's what Apple has for you, right? You've got to be active. So how many people, it's just as easy as they look at their wrist and they look at these circles and they go, oh, I've got to walk. Or, oh, I've got to stand up because the watch vibrated and said, get up. Or, oh, I've got to do this. I every night I got my Garmin on. When I go for a run, yes, I know how far I'm supposed to have to go, but I don't have to think about it. I push the little button on my watch. I keep running until it vibrates at me and says, you're done. Right? It says you've run your X miles that you have to run today. Even my mattress now, we have a thing called 8 Sleep, which cools and warms and all that stuff. I wake up in the morning and it says, here's how you slept. Right? It says, we could tell you tossed, you turned, because right, it's your mattress. It's not even my watch. It's not my arm moved. It's I moved or I laid still. And it can tell my heart rate and all that kind of stuff. So it's using technology to understand how to succeed better. And it's probably using technology for little things like those loops on the Apple Watch or other little games, because there's so much gamifying in our health world.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like when I had this idea and I throw this out, I thought that one would be a little bit tricky, but I think you did a good job.
You on that one. I got you. All right. What do we got for number 4?
All right. The next one would be, and I want to try to maybe position this, like, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait.
I'll twist away like a political debate.
Prepare scripts, like know what I'm going to be doing and saying when I come in. And so if I go back and I think about like the CRM, for example, or the technology I'm using, and I go back to our example where I said, look, we actually know there's 10 very specific things that I should go do in my real estate CRM. And if I only had half of the amount of time, I'd do these 4. Okay, cool. What am I saying when I do those 4? Like as a prospector, Chad, when I make that phone call, what am I saying? And I'm, I might even go back to like the technology thing and suggest a dialer. If we were specifically talking about prospecting, I need to talk to more people. A dialer would be a massive leverage point from a technology side. But if I have that big leverage of a dialer that can make it easier for me to call the 200 people, to talk to the 35 to find my appointment, now I need to know what to say.
Right. It's one of the real estate success principles, as Ben always called them, right? It's one of the things is knowing what to say.
I mean, it's really sales success principles. In sales, Absolutely. If I have enough people to, right, I have enough prospects. I say the thing to those prospects enough time, and I'm saying the right thing to those prospects, like I am going to be successful eventually, right?
Yeah, I don't care if you're selling cars. I don't care what you're selling in that situation. Yes, absolutely.
But those... Man, and I think, look, I was guilty of this for years. I thought, scripts, those are stupid, right? Those are for people that don't know. They're not as shifty as I am. They're not as quick on their feet. They're not wrong. Like I was wrong, okay, for a lot of years.
Bob, here's what I'll say to people who are out there. I'll go off on this soapbox moment for you. If you're out there in whatever industry you're in, I don't care if it's sales of some sort, whatever, and you should be saying the same thing again and again and again and again and again. Okay. And you're saying, I don't need scripts. I'm better than that. I don't need to sound like that other person. First, I'll tell you, if you internalize them, you'll never sound like anybody. Bob and I could run the same script and I would sound like Chad and he would sound like Bob.
Yeah.
Right. Yet here's the thing. If I ask you what letter comes after N in the alphabet, you just sang the song.
LMNOP.
Right. Absolutely. Some people went all the way back to A because they needed to. Some started at L and went LMNOP, right? And some were able to just it's the script, right? We all learned the same script to the same tune when we were children.
By the way, hold on. I just saw a TikTok. It was on Instagram because I'm in my mid-40s. I don't actually watch things on TikTok. I get them a week later on Instagram. But there's parts of the country today, Chad, that are teaching it a little bit different.
What? What's wrong with these people?
It's
It
not.
works.
Hey, I'm telling you, it's not like it's A, B,
Well,
C,
they're
D, F,
keeping
G, H, I,
that
J, K.
different too.
They do the LMNOP part different now. I don't know. It's
That's
just
wrong.
a rumor I saw on the internet. It's probably not true, by the way, but
Okay. It was probably AI
it
generated.
had me up in arms. I was up in arms about it.
All right. So you're saying prepare your scripts, know what to say, know what to do, be ready in a situation. Okay. I'm going to take that to our health. We have to know what we're actually doing, not necessarily saying, because we're talking to ourselves, yet doing when it's time to work out. Right?
Okay.
How many of us go, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. And then we kind of stand there and go, I'll go on that machine.
That was
right?
me for sure.
Right? And then I'll go over there now. And I think this is how it works, right? If you don't know what you're doing on the machine and don't know which machines you should be on, you're probably more than likely just going to hurt yourself instead of actually get the workout you're looking for, even if you walk out sweaty. So that would probably be the way I would say that for your consistency, actionable steps. You better know what your workout's supposed to look like, and you better know how the tools you're going to use work.
Chad, and look, I might even bring that. Like I'm looking at that tonal right behind you, and we've got one of these things back here. You can see
the
it.
mirror,
it's kind of
which
dark.
you don't use, and right.
My wife does, but anyway.
Okay.
But that's like technology. You're like, I'm not sure what to do. And Chad, you just turn around, you turn the tonal on. You're like, I got 20 minutes. You find a workout that's 20 minutes, and they're like, Chad, do this, and just follow along and watch it here. And
absolutely, this morning I said, hey, it's leg day, and the workout program I'm on said, yeah, here you go. Here's what we're going to, and the coach says, okay, do squats. And we did squats. And then the coach said, take 10 seconds. Okay, now do this. And, all right. Right. It's knowing what to say in a situation, knowing what to do. That would be the thing for health.
All right. I want to get consistent, Chad. Number 5, I'm going to find an accountability partner.
Amen, Bob. Amen.
I mean, you are this for a lot of people out there. I'm this for a few people in our world. I'm not like, I have a number of people in our world. I don't coach them. They don't pay me like, you have a lot of those relationships, right? Where people are paying you to coach them. But I got people that like one day were just like, hey, will you be my accountability partner? And this is really out of the Ben Kinney model of accountability, right? It doesn't take me anything to be their accountability partner.
Correct.
Right? They are saying to me, and this lady at the end of every single day, I get a text from a few people. I'm thinking of one in particular because she just started doing it recently to like really impactful effect, I think. Every day, end of the day, I get a text from her. She just tells me what she did.
Yep.
Her goals are somewhere, and I can go see them, by the way. And I know what her monthly goal like this month is. And every day she just checks in with me, Chad, at the end of the day. Sometimes they come late. Sometimes it's midnight, and she's like, oh, sorry, things were crazy today, right? And I'm like, you're not going to be sorry to me? I don't care. Like, I'm here for your accountability. Like, if you didn't do it, I'm honestly, I didn't lose much sleep over it. But for her, it's that she does not want to let me down, right? A lot of us do this with Ben in our world. We send him our weekly, our monthly accountability and our goals. Find somebody, right? If you don't have anybody, put it on the internet, I guess. Like a lot of people will show up there and support you in that regard, right?
I am so glad you said that, Bob, because there are that I was going to add that one for health, right? Go out there and start posting. I mean, the joke is, right, if I don't post my workout, I didn't really do a workout, right? So I mean, I'm training for a marathon right now. I don't know where we are in my training versus to when this episode is dropping, right? But I do my best at least once a week to be posting like my long run, right? And there are people who have messaged me and said, didn't run this weekend, right? Or there are people, right? And so I don't know who's necessarily become an accountability partner in that regard, yet the internet has become my accountability partner because I know there are people watching, and I know that whether they're speaking up or they're not speaking up, they're expecting that from me, and it forces me to live up to it. Here's 2 things I'll say about accountability partner. One, especially in health, Bob, I guess business too, especially in health though, you're more likely to show up for someone else. Right? If you and I, if we were living in the same area or decided to do it even virtually, you are not working out consistently right now. Yet back during COVID, I know you were in that group where you guys were doing the push-up challenge. You showed up because the other guys were all like, hey, Bob, where are you?
100%.
Right?
100%,
right?
Chad. There was a lot of times at 10 o'clock at night where I was like, I'm going to do my stupid push-ups, but everybody else put their video in today, so I got to do my video. That's when I'd get down in my underwear. I'd get really irritated with these guys. I'd get my tighty-whities, Chad, and then they'd get a video of me doing push-ups in my tighty-whities.
Well, thankfully they didn't post any of those for the rest of us on that TikTok thing that we're talking about.
But I do got about 10 guys out there that do have photos or videos of me in my underwear doing push-ups. So I don't know how good that is, actually.
We don't need to know any more about that.
I
Yeah, folks, that's right. You will show up for someone else quicker than you'll show up for yourself. Bob would have missed those push-ups happily. He showed up because of them. The only thing I will add is the only person that should never be your accountability partner is your partner.
Okay.
Right? In your case, Bob, don't choose your wife. Nita is not my accountability partner. Yes, I got on the bike this morning, so she might say, oh, I should get on as well, or I should do something as well. But folks, if you want your marriage to work, find an accountability partner outside of your partnership, your marriage, whatever that looks like.
Love that. All right, number 6, track your progress. Like, we're doing these things, right? And our technology is going to help us track the progress, maybe, right? Our goals are going to dictate how we're progressing. Like, what are you tracking my progress to what? To my goals. I got to go set goals to track the progress towards them, right? And again, this is generally going to be on that lead side, Chad, right? On that activity side. It's did I show up today? Did I get my 30 minutes of workout in? Did I make my 100 phone calls or my 20 contacts or whatever it is? But track it. And generally that's going to be done through the technology you're using.
Yeah, the lag measure will show up if you're tracking the lead measure, right? If I'm doing the workout, the scale will end up showing up that I've dropped, whatever that is. But you've got to track it. Good. I think that one's great. So we've got setting clear goals, creating a schedule, using technology. You said preparing scripts. I kind of tweaked that one a little for health-wise. Accountability partner, tracking progress. We got about 3 more left here on this list you threw at me a little while ago. What's the next one, Bob?
Mix it up. So we're specifically talking about prospecting. There's a lot of ways I can do that, right? If I'm specifically talking about working out, there's a lot of ways I can do that. You mix it up. Just there's a rare breed of human out there that can do the same exact thing day after day after day after day after day, but they're a unicorn, right? Eventually,
that's not productive. Right? On your side of it, I would say, look, if all you're doing is email blasting me every day, you're not getting through to me. Right? So where's the text message now and then? Where's the mailer that comes? Where's the TV commercial or the community event, or where's the whatever it is, the phone call, of course, you've got to mix it up for me as your potential client as much as you probably have to do for you. Just like, look, The Rock probably doesn't get on a Peloton or some bike and pedal. He probably doesn't get on the treadmill and just run for a while. But he doesn't just pump his arms every day. He's got leg day, right? He's mixing it up and just saying, okay, I'm staying in the bubble of strength training, but I'm mixing it up because my arms need a day off. So I'm going to work my legs today. My legs need a day of recovery. So I'm going to work my back today, whatever that is. And for the rest of us, you should be cross training. What does that mean? It means if you're a runner, you should be lifting like twice a week. If you're a cyclist, go row, do something else that benefits you because it's going to be better for you in the long run, instead of just being narrow focused and saying, I'm a cyclist, every day I cycle. I'm a runner, every day I run. I'm a strength trainer, all I do is lift. And boy, my arms look great, but the rest of me looks flabby, right? You got to mix it up, Bob. That's a great one to bring in.
We've got, like, in our world, Chad, we got a bunch of models. Like, we have a model that says we think most of the business in real estate comes from somewhere in this model, and there's 6 different slices to that model. So even mixing it up from like a prospecting perspective, like today I'm working my sphere and my past clients, so I'm probably going to have a lot of really nice conversations. And tomorrow I'm cold call prospecting, and so it might be a little bit more challenging because somebody might tell me to F off, but the next day I'm going to be at an open house because I want to get face to face with people. And on day 4 I'm going to work some internet leads because we have those coming into our world. And and I always know what they were looking at, so those conversations are always a little bit easier. Like, mix it up. Right? You will get bored.
You might sell, I don't know, Hondas, because that's what I'm driving right now. You might sell Hondas, and I walk into the Honda dealership. But sometimes you're going to sell a truck. Sometimes you're going to sell an SUV. Sometimes you're going to sell a sports car. If you only sold the truck again and again and again, 1, you'd be bored, and 2, 3/4 of your clients probably wouldn't buy from you because they actually need the SUV instead, right? It's always mix it up. I think that's a great piece your bot added for us here.
All right, reward yourself is my next what the coaching bot told me is a way to stay consistent is I need to reward myself, Chad.
Okay.
And I like personally, I think that at the end of my big goal, there should be some reward waiting. But I also think that we should find a way potentially to kind of reward ourselves for the journey or for different parts of the journey, Chad.
Great point, Bob.
We'll do stuff around here like 1,000 dial day or I mean, even like organizationally, we did a big thing recently, Chad, where we put a really high goal out, right? So let's talk about this consistency and Ben Kinney's challenge to our organization across a bunch of these things. We put out a really high goal for people, right?
Yep.
We gave them tons of resources around how to create a schedule. The technology had the playbook in there for them to run. We had all the scripts of what they could go say, right? A lot of them publicly said, all of them actually publicly said, I'm committing to do this. So there was a whole bunch of accountability baked in there. They were tracking their progress along the way. Otherwise, they would never know how close they were to meeting that goal. But the reward, by the way, this was make 5,000 dials into your real estate business in over the months of July and August, the summertime when your kids are there and you're going on vacation. And in some cases it was in about 80 cases it was do 50 open houses in those 2 months. Those are really, really big goals. But there was a really great reward at the end, right? Those people are being their expenses paid to come down to Phoenix and do a mastermind with Ben and a bunch of our executives. And they're staying at a beautiful hotel, and that's like a really awesome couple of days for them to educate themselves in their business. Big reward. Right now, some of them were rewarding themselves along the way. Right, man. If I get my 500 dials in today, I'm gonna go and I don't know. For me, it's buy a pair of shoes, Chad. It's
absolutely right, and there's
cards.
Nothing wrong with that. The reward should be if someone's put out a reward. Okay, great, right? They're going to offer me that. Yet the reward needs to be customized, Bob. Otherwise, you're not going to work for it. Right? If somebody said to me, oh, we'll give you a new pair of Nike shoes if you go run this far, or lose this much, or get this much muscle mass on you when we try. I don't care, right? I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to have shoes. I'll send them to my friend Bob. Give them to me in his size, right? I don't care in that situation. But if the rewards are something that I want, right? And in health, folks, I will tell you, diet's the worst thing you're ever going to do. Okay? If you change your lifestyle of eating, you'll be able to accept what it's going to be. When we give up something, when you put carbs and say, nope, no carbs, right? You're going to fall off that wagon so hard when the time comes. So what do? We give ourselves, if we made it through the week of what our lifestyle habit eating is, our workout goals are, we reward ourselves with a cheat meal.
Let's go. What's your what's your go-to cheat meal?
It depends on the time of year and stuff like that. I mean, a pizza, I'll make a pizza at home. It's still not that horrible for us, right? But it's those extra carbs that are in it above what we should have. But your body's like, thank you.
Do cinnamon rolls ever come into the mix? Like, do you ever get cinnamon rolls in there?
Croissants. I'll make croissants or something like that, right? Now, maybe not all the way to cinnamon roll.
French chocolate. What was that?
I put chocolate in my. All right, I'll say cornetto since that's Italian. But if you've ever watched The Rock's Instagram and seen his cheat day, this guy has like 4 people, right? This guy's got a tray of burgers that he's going to eat. Okay, nothing wrong with it. When I go run a marathon or a Spartan race, they hand me a medal and a shirt, right? Congratulations. You earned this by doing it. It's not just the participation trophy, right? It's the you earned this because so many people didn't come out and even attempt this. But that's a reward. You got to reward yourself along the way. You're absolutely right. There should be a big one waiting at the end, but there should be little small ones progress along the way, Bob. Give us the 9th thing on the bots list.
You're going to have like focused mindset and somehow stay motivated, Chad, to be consistent. And so I think a lot of these things kind of create that mindset potentially, but it could be as simple as every single morning, I start with some positive motivations when I open my eyes and I don't want to get my lazy ass out of bed, but I know that if I do this, I'm going to live 10 years longer with my kids. Like, what are you doing with your mindset to stay motivated? Could be Positive
gotta be
affirmations
external.
could be reading. It could, it's external, right? It's coming from somewhere else, because most of us, look, we can keep ourselves motivated for a while, but eventually we're going to need something to continue the spark.
Yeah, absolutely. Motivation only lasts as long as right as till the next play. Right. Think about football. There's motivation right now, but boom, interception. Motivation just completely changed and went the other way, whatever that's going to be. Magic Johnson makes one of those passes he's known for. Oh yeah, motivation is on the Lakers side, but then Jordan comes back and dunks it over, Kareem back in those days. Motivation just switched the other way. You've got to have those influences, right? Affirmations are great. Affirmations are okay. You have to have, though, that outside stuff, and you've got to have that drive inside you that says, this is the motivation for where I'm going, why I want to get there, what it means when I get there. Now I've got to be watching training videos from that person. Now I got to be reading this person. Now I got to follow Bob on Instagram because it's going to keep me motivated, whatever it is.
Chad, the one other thing I might just add here, and now that I'm like, because this didn't fit anywhere else, but I think of like my mom, I think of a few different individuals in our world, that your big why. Like, to me, motivation can sometimes be tied back to that. Like, why do I do this? Why am I getting healthy? For me, that would be longer life with my kids, right? For on the business side, why? Like, my mom's thing that drove her to make all those prospecting calls when she'd never done it before, she was scared of it, she didn't like it, it made her feel uncomfortable, was she wanted to put her grandkids through college. Like, if any of her grandkids wanted to go to college, Gail wanted to have a fund there to help them do that. And so,
and here's the thing, Bob, I don't know the details yet. If I sat down and talked to Gail about that, I'll bet you it's done. Right? It's done. She's got that money in that fund for all the grandkids. Okay. So this is what I want everyone to hear. That why ended.
Yep.
Right. And when you set a why that is too far away, like Bob said, his for being healthier so he can live longer with his kids, he won't do anything today because there's no threat to that yet to make him act on it. But if Bob says he wants by the end of the year to be able to keep up with his kid on the jump rope, right, or whatever, that's okay. Now he's got a motivation that he's going to accomplish. I tell the story all the time about when I ran my first marathon. I was motivated to prove to my daughter that you could do anything you put your mind to, because I wanted to teach her that lesson. But as soon as I crossed the finish line, Bob, that why was done, right? And I needed to go rediscover a new why. I didn't want to train this last weekend. I had to go run a long run. I didn't want to do it. And Nita said to me, why are you doing this? You don't need to run a marathon. I said, yes, I do. Here's the reason I need to do it. And once I cross the finish line, though, Bob, that reason won't matter anymore. Yeah. But that reason will get me out of bed every time I need to go for a run. And then it's bringing in the cheering. It's bringing in the what I read. It's bringing in who I'm listening to. That's going to keep that motivation going. The big why totally fits under that. Folks, don't let yourself get overwhelmed by this big why. Let yourself get overwhelmed with the why right now.
Chad.
Bob.
How do we end these things?
Same way we always do, folks. Bring somebody along for the conversation. Maybe we'll turn them into a bot. Ooh, can we just make our audience bots? That'd be interesting, right? We could just have a whole bunch of AI talking to AI people. Maybe it'll help them grow. I don't know. Folks, bring somebody along on the journey through Win, Make, Give. We know you're out there. We see you downloading these things. Yet we challenge you to bring a friend along, just like you did during the Wealth series, because we're going to keep bringing the value to them. Until the next time, as always, do good.